Hello, this is Michael Johnson, and I want to talk to you today about how to reduce stress, anxiety, and worries through biblical meditation in as little as 30 minutes a day. Now, I know you're busy, so let's get right to the point. First of all, where do stress, anxiety, and worry come from? Now, a lot of people think, well, that's just the way I am. Maybe it's my genetics. Maybe I was born this way. And there may be a lot of factors involved in where stress, anxiety, and worry come from, but for sure, one of the biggest sources is our environment. You see, our environment creates a physiological response within our body. Our bodies have built-in mechanisms for reacting to various threats or dangers. Now, this is called the fight or flight response. You've probably heard of this. And this is an autonomic response that you really don't have a whole lot of control over. What happens is when your body is faced with a threat, you're in one instant, a flood of chemicals is released into your bloodstream from a signal from your brain. And in that same instant, your brain then assesses the threat and determines whether it should fight or flee. Whether it's something that it can easily dominate or whether it's something that says, hey, we better get out of here. The perfect example that I like to use is where you may be walking through a meadow in one of our national forests and you come across a bear. And that bear starts grunting and growling and making all kinds of disturbance that lets you know he doesn't want you in his area. So your brain, you'll feel this sudden rush of energy, of the adrenaline rush. There's noradrenaline. There's all kinds of chemicals that are being released into your system at that very moment. And your brain either says, hey, I think I can take this bear, or it says, hey, let's get out of here. Or it may tell you to do something else. But it's a fight or flight response, and it's automatic. You don't really have control that your body does this. Especially if you don't have a lot of experience with that particular event, you don't think, you simply react. Now, this can be a problem because the more events like this we have in our lives, the greater our stress level becomes. Now, Dr. Benson of Harvard Medical School did a study in which they discovered that people living in rural communities experience lower average blood pressures than people living in the city. And you might say, well, that's kind of a no-brainer. But to actually observe that is kind of a powerful testimony as to one of the benefits of living out away from the city. But why is that? That's the question. Well, city folks experience a whole lot more tension-building events than more frequently than do rural folks. And what happens is we have a buildup of these stress chemicals in our bloodstream throughout the day, and we don't really have a way to release them naturally. Going back to our bear example, you're motivated to scream or yell or pick up a stick or run to do something, and your body has the energy to do this in a very efficient way. However, when somebody cuts you off on the freeway and you experience this same chemical reaction within your body, it usually isn't too good to try and expend that energy, because a lot of times you'll end up in jail. That's the very definition of road rage. And so we need to be careful about how we react. You know, once our mind kind of catches up to what the body is doing automatically, and we have to try and control those things. Now, these threats that cause this reaction in our bodies can be real physical threats, or they can be perceived or indirect threats, or even imaginary threats. So, for example, if you were to go to a fast food restaurant and the teenager behind the counter can't get your order right, and then gets it wrong again for a second and third time, and drops your change and can't count, and the cash register don't work. So you have all these things going on, and slowly this is creating an agitation level in your system. And this person is not creating some kind of physical threat to your well-being. However, if your boss is waiting for you, or you're going to be late for work, or any of a number of other things, this creates an indirect threat to you. And so your body is generating the same kind of physiological response. Now, what happens though is this teenager here is not a physical threat, so instead of wanting to escape and run, you're developing anger because your body's preparing to subdue this threat. So you have to be very careful. And you really, if you're not thinking, if you're just reacting, and it's a good thing, we will subdue that and control it, but that doesn't stop the fact that this reaction is taking place. You don't actually haul off and hit the kid, hopefully. But this anger is still building up inside you. This chemical reaction is still going on. It's just being kind of like putting a lid on it. So this can increase our stress levels as well. Now, we have to talk about reaction patterns in a minute, because we can develop reactionary hair triggers to stressful situations. Again, this could be the example of the man who goes off to work and gets a flat tire on the way to work, and he gets it fixed, and maybe it starts raining, and then his boss chews him out for being late, and the customer cancels the account, and his lunch is ruined, cut short because of his early morning accident or flat tire, and then on the way home he gets a ticket, and all this is building up, and the poor wife at home, she didn't maybe fix his favorite meal, and he's extremely irritable, and she can't understand why. Well, because he's had this lid on all these stressful physiological functions inside his body going on all day. And it's not that there's anything significant about the one little thing at the end of the day. It's just that this stress has been building in his system all day long. Now, we can become accustomed to stress, and this is where it becomes a real danger. Not only when you have that big blow up at the end of a bad day, that's bad enough. I mean, you can actually, blow out a blood vessel, or, have some kind of serious physical event, let alone this social and emotional damage of people hurting people we love. But you can become so accustomed to stress that you can be in a constant state of anger, bitterness, or rage. And you're just always ready to get in a fight or be argumentative, and it becomes so comfortable that you really don't know any other way to act in certain situations. So that can be a dangerous reaction pattern we might develop. Now, what are some of the negative effects of stress, anxiety, and worry? Well, for one thing, hypertension. It is a leading contributing factor of hypertension. We know hypertension, high blood pressure, comes from basically four things. 1, poor diet. Number 2, lack of exercise. Number 3, genetics. And number 4, which may be a bigger factor than all the other 3 combined, is your environment and how you deal with stress, anxiety, and worry. Hypertension, high blood pressure is a leading contributing factor of hardening of the arteries, atherosclerosis, a leading factor in heart attacks, stroke, a number of other heart diseases, and 50%, more than 50% of deaths in the United States are due to these heart-related diseases. So hypertension is a big, big problem. It's an epidemic in our country, and stress is a great contributing factor of it. Rapid aging is another big problem that's probably overlooked a lot of times. But I've just recently read a study where women were studied that were identified as having high stress, and they actually examined some of their cells under a microscope, and some of their cells actually showed signs of rapid aging for the women that were under high stress. And in the study, it indicated people that were women that were in a lot of high stress situations tended to age about 10 years faster than less stressed women. So stress has and we've seen pictures before of presidents, for example, when they enter the before and after pictures of their presidency and how much they've aged in just such a short time. Certainly, rapid aging is a problem because your body just cannot cope, can't keep up with the amount of energy that's being expended and lost due to the stress and anxiety and worry. So rapid aging is a problem. Weight control is another problem, and the problems that go along with that, such as increased level symptoms of arthritis and diabetes and a whole host of other problems for people that experience a lot of stress, anxiety, and worry. We know that chemical dependencies can develop, and this is especially, when you're talking about stress levels, you're talking about chemical levels in your body. Your body is a chemical factory, and what happens a lot of times for various reasons, we try to adjust the chemicals in our system by introducing more chemicals. And sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not so helpful. So that's another way. And then some of the negative effects we've already mentioned. Being a stressed person, a person with a lot of anxieties, a lot of worries, they tend to have a lot more social and relationship problems. Mothers with their children, husbands with their wives, workers and co-workers, employees, a lot of negative effects in the social arena. Well, how do people deal with stress? How do we eliminate stress from our lives? Well, there are good ways and there are bad ways. Some of the negative ways, people resort to using alcohol and or controlled substance abuse. And these actually don't do anything for the stress. They actually just deaden the nerves, deaden the system, deaden the mind, so we don't feel the stress, but the stress is still there. Another big area is smoking. That's a chemical addiction there, or a chemical response to the stress that we feel. A lot of people in high stress environments smoke. And we don't have to go into detail about all the harmful effects that causes. Prescription drugs are a growing area of solutions to stress, and this is one of the fastest area of pharmaceutical research and development. And we're still finding out some of the negative effects from some of the pharmaceuticals. I'm not trying to tell you or scare you that if you're taking a stress-related drug that's prescribed by your doctor that you shouldn't be taking it. I would never do that. You need to follow the advice of your physician, and if you question it, you have to have good reason and talk to us, get a second opinion and so forth. But we would have to be ignorant to not realize that there are a lot of harmful side effects going on with some of these pharmaceuticals, and we're just getting the tip of the iceberg of some of the negative effects that are going to be coming later on. Just Google some of them, and you'll find plenty to worry you about this method of dealing with stress. Stress eating, we have already mentioned a little bit. A lot of people look for comfort foods or look for sugar or different items. And again, this increases our likelihood of having diabetes and other serious health problems. Some people resort to shopping. They have a stressed out day and they're going to go get them a $300 pair of shoes or a $500 purse, and they just feel a whole lot better until the credit card bill comes. And then there are adrenaline junkies, and probably us guys, we kind of fit into this category, especially people that have high risk or high stress level jobs. Sometimes we live in such a high state of agitation or stress that the only way we can actually kind of experience a good feeling above that is to have a super adrenaline rush. So that leads a lot of people into some very risky activities. Gambling is one of them, or physically high risk activities. And there's not a few fellows who hopped on a motorcycle to go as fast as they could who didn't come home and left a mom and a couple little babies without a dad. So we got to be careful of high risk, high adrenaline pumping activities just so we can say we need to relieve our stress. Now, there are some ways to reduce stress safely and naturally. Let's talk about a couple of these. First of all, it's a vacation. And I'm not talking about the kind of vacation that by the time you get home you need another vacation to recover from it. Not a high stress vacation, but one where you can actually experience some decompression time. And one interesting study by the State University in New York at Oswego found that in a study of over 12,000 individuals, men who consistently year after year took a one vacation a year where they actually they left a laptop at home, left the cell phone off, and they actually decompressed, that it resulted in a 30% decrease in death from heart attack. If I told you there was one thing you could do to decrease your chances by a third, and it was take a vacation, you might think I'm crazy, but that's what they found. And that's because your body actually, has a period of time where it can just really decompress and expend a lot of this built-up stress levels that are in our system. Now, another way, more frequently, that we can do is exercise. Now, I know this may be difficult for a lot of people because it's maybe difficult to get started, but the body, when you engage in rigorous exercise, your body is actually burning and utilizing the stress chemicals and the energy in your system that for a lot of people is just sitting there building up day after day. And so you actually have a chance to do expend this energy, expend these chemicals that are in your system and burn them. And you reduce a lot of the stress chemicals that are in your bloodstream. And also you tend to increase the positive chemicals that make you feel good. You hear about the runner's high and those types of things. So that is a great way to do it. Now, a third way, which kind of has gotten a bad rap in some circles, but is through meditation, and we don't need to be afraid of meditation as if it's like some guy with a shaved head somewhere sitting cross-legged, in his underwear and kind of be intimidated by it. Meditation is we're talking about a very specific thing. We're talking more about the mind and body and something that's going on there. So when you get into these meditative states, it's a very relaxed state, and you can do this very, very quickly. The body naturally starts flushing stress chemicals out of your system. And it's really amazing how this works. Now, what are some of the keys to meditation? Well, when we talk about meditation, we're talking about a specific physiological state. And what we mean by that is that, for example, your brain has electrical impulses in it. Your nervous system and brain have these electrical impulses going through them, and they're doing so at a specific rate. We can stick these little devices on you and actually measure them. And depending on which band of frequencies they're in, you're typically in different states of mind. So, for instance, right now, you're listening, you're engaging in your environment, you're in the beta state. And that state of mind is predominantly associated with conscious brain activity and involvement in your surroundings. Now, the next level is alpha. And the alpha level could be from just meditating on a book. Maybe you're reading a book, intense, or maybe you're relaxing. Maybe you're just daydreaming. Maybe it's even down to the light sleep level. And when you reach this level of meditation in the alpha level, a lot of good things start happening. This is what we're talking about, decompressing. Your body starts flushing a lot of these chemicals. Lactate, for example, starts being reduced in your bloodstream. Lactate is a chemical compound that they found will actually, if you have too much of it in your system, can actually give you an instant anxiety attack. So this is what we're talking about, some of these mid to lower frequency brain waves. And we can go down even lower into the theta. For example, there's a lot of good things that happen in theta. Predominantly when you're in theta, you're asleep, you're dreaming, you're having it's a lighter level, medium depth, I guess, level of sleep, but a lot of good things are going on. When you go down to delta, in the delta level, that's when you're in a real deep sleep and your body's actually starting to rebuild damage, repair damage, rebuild itself, and heal from sicknesses and so forth. So delta is a very good, healthy state to be in. Now, we've monitored, for instance, when you're in a meditative state, it triggers this relaxation response. And some of the functions are even better than if you were just to go to sleep. So somebody that says, well, I'll just go take a nap or go to sleep. Well, that's of course good, but it's not even as effective as these other meditative states that we're going to be talking about. When you're in these states, your body starts flushing these negative stress hormones out of your system. And it starts, they don't know exactly how it does all this, but they can actually measure different chemical levels in your bloodstream and see it change in just a matter of 20 to 30 minutes. It also replenishes essential chemicals. For example, in the afternoon time of the day, when you start getting that drowsy feeling, well, one of the things attributed to cause that is a drop in potassium level in your bloodstream. And this is where the power nap comes in. If you just lay down for, say, 15 to 20 minutes, and your brain wave frequencies drop into the theta range for maybe just 5 minutes of that time, 5 to 10 minutes of that time, your brain will actually send a trigger to your body to release more potassium into your system. That's why in just a 15, 20-minute period, you can feel completely refreshed for the rest of the day. These are some very specific physiological things that are going on in your body. And finally, when you really develop a good system of meditation and using relaxation methods this way, it really creates a sensation of peace and contentment because your body feels so good having purged itself from stress. So what are some of the specific keys of how to achieve this with meditation? Well, first of all, you need to be in a comfortable setting. You need to wear loose, comfortable clothing, nothing too tight or binding or uncomfortable. Second, you need to be relatively undisturbed. It's very hard to reach these meditative states where all these good things are going on in your body if the kids are screaming or you're being interrupted by the phone or these things. And sometimes we just need to turn things off and isolate ourselves. We spend very little time alone, and you need to do that for your health. Now, the next part that we need to focus on is we need to have a focal point. That is something to focus our attention on. And it's real critical as to what you choose to be your focal point. For one thing, you need to eliminate any negative thoughts that are coming in at this point, and you need to kind of let things at the office stay at the office, and we need to be careful that we keep our mind focused on something that's good and wholesome and not off into some other area that's actually harmful to us. And finally, we need to practice, because this is not easy. It's not easy to remain focused on something for an extended period of time. But I'm going to show you a shortcut. So let's look at the shortcut. Here's a shortcut to achieving a very relaxed state of meditation in just a few minutes. First of all, we make use of something called brainwave stimulus. And what this is we use a certain technology that with sound, we are able to gently nudge the brain into deeper levels of relaxation. We can trigger the stress reduction response in just a mere few minutes. Now, I've done this. I have actually been working on some of these techniques for more than 5 years. And everyone that I've shared this with is just amazed at how well this works. They don't have to spend weeks and months not getting very much good results practicing to try and meditate and things like that. They use this system that I've developed, and in just a few minutes they are extremely relaxed. The stress is just melting away. This is a very safe and effective way. It's out of some research that was published way back in the early 1970s and has been used extensively in various avenues. Now, the one critical thing that I want to spend just a few moments on is your focal point. Your focal point is critical. There's a reason that meditation techniques are used by virtually all mind control cults. Now, this may kind of shock you and may kind of make you nervous, but you need to be very careful about what you put into your mind when you're in these very relaxed states. Because when your body and your mind are more and more relaxed, your defenses are down. That's just a fact. The more stressed you are, the more tense your mind and body become, the more difficult it is for you to engage in learning. Or you've probably experienced before having to take a test and being extremely tense and you didn't do very well. And at another time, maybe you were very relaxed and calm and you did extremely well. Well, that's because this pathway to the deeper parts of memory and the mind and a lot of things going on there, but it's extremely open when you're in these relaxed states. So it's very important that you're very critical about what you allow into your mind at that point. Now, my suggestion as a Christian is to let Christ become your focal point for stress reduction and meditation. He wants what's best for us. He's even told us that worrying is not going to help you at all. And I'm reminded of the time how at peace he was when he was in that boat and the storms were raging and his disciples were scared. And yet he was at calm and peace. He's going to show us how to do this. He's going to relieve us of a lot of stress and anxiety and worry in our life. Now, my suggestion is that you not allow harmful outside influences to enter your mind when you're in these very relaxed meditative states. That's why I only trust God's Word at this point. I don't even, not even for myself, to develop some kind of affirmation program, or you'll even see some other so-called Christian meditation programs that are actually just, man-made affirmations, which is basically what's behind a lot of the New Age movements. In my biblical meditation program for those who believe in the Bible as the purest form of God's communication to man, that's what I use in my biblical meditation and nothing else. I'm going to let my Creator guide me to peace of mind, not what some man thinks or what some other person thinks I should be thinking on, but I'm going to let the greatest content in the world guide me to peace of mind. And when we do that, we'll stop being fearful. When we're able to trust God and He's blessed us so much, this is going to create such a level of peace and calm in our lives that we'll wonder why we haven't been doing this all along and what we were so worried about before. Now, how can you get my biblical meditation program? Again, it doesn't have anything that is other than the Word of God in it and the technology that helps stimulate you into these meditative states for the rapid receptivity of God's Word and stress reduction and relaxation. How can you get it? Well, I want to give it to you for free. I want you to try this out for free. Now, you can't get it right now. It's not quite ready yet. And so what you need to do is promise me you'll let me know if it works for you. Someone says, well, why are you giving it away for free? Well, I want your feedback. I want to know, like so many others have told me, that if it works for you or if it doesn't. So let me know if it works for you, and I would be most appreciative of that. So how do you get it? Someone says, hey, Michael, how do I get that program? Well, it's easy. Go to this website right here, freechristianmeditationscd.com. If you're already watching this video on that website, you're already there. Just register using the form on the right-hand side of the page. And then you'll need to check your email. I'll be sending you some instructions, and then I'll keep you posted as soon as it's ready. Again, I said that it's not quite ready yet. I'm at the very tail end of wrapping this up, and I'll be looking for your feedback in the very near future. So if you'll do that, and I'll keep you posted, and then when it's ready, I'll let you try it for free, and if you'll promise me that you'll tell me if it works for you. So that's it for right now. I sure do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and listen to me ramble on here for a little bit about stress and anxiety and all the good things that this has done for me and some of my friends that I've shared this with. And I hope you'll enjoy it, and I hope it'll be beneficial for you. And I'll be looking forward to talking with you soon. Thanks a lot, and God bless.